Many of the things we love about credit cards, convenience, safety, tracking, rewards, are the same qualities that tempt us into overuse. Now comes the aha moment, when we must confront our credit card debt sponsored by staggering 16 or more % interest rate carryover balances typically accrue. Effectively managing credit card debt can be daunting, but with proper budgeting, including responsible spending, attention to due dates, having and adhering to a strategy, paying more than the minimum due, and maybe considering consolidation or discussions with a credit counselor, you can conquer credit card debt. Before the coronavirus pandemic, Americans piled on credit card debt as though it were a race to the top of Mount Everest. In November 2017, we surged past the previous peak of $1.02 trillion set in May 2008, and for 28 months, we scarcely looked back. By the end of February, we've tacked on another $98 billion, owing credit card issuers a record $1.1 trillion. Then COVID-19 happened. In March, the economy was thrown in a deep freeze. In June, the Federal Reserve found that during March and April, revolving balances plummeted at an annualized rate of 65%, the biggest fall in the report's 52-year history, to $1.02 trillion, wiping out 2 full years of debt pile on. As we mentioned, it's a big boat. That doesn't mean you have to stay on until it finds an iceberg. Tips to manage and reduce credit card debt. Getting on top of your credit card debt generally relies on a three-pronged attack involving arresting spending habits, improving saving habits, and getting serious about a debt elimination strategy. In June, the average interest rate on credit card balances was 16.01%. That's actually a favorable rate historically, but it's enormous when you consider the Federal Reserve plans to keep lending rates to banks at nearly zero through 2022. 30-year mortgage rates are stuck at close to 3%, and unsecured personal loans start around 6%. If you are the average balance carrier hacking away at nearly $10,000 in credit card debt at 16% will threaten your ability to buy a house, save for college, feather a retirement nest egg, invest, or even cope with day-to-day expenses. First, continue to pay your credit card bills on time. As you launch your plan to whittle down credit card debt, your primary goal is simple: pay on time. Not just some of your credit card bills, and not just most of the time. All of the bills, all of the time. The fine print in your credit card agreement, which you probably didn't read, gives the issuer lots of ammunition to make your financial life miserable with a single late payment. In addition to dinging your credit score with reports to the Big Three, Experian, Transamerican, and Equifax, card issuers can hit you with late fees, higher interest rates, and credit limit reductions. Second, practice responsible spending. Once you have your financial calendar mapped out, so you will never miss making at least the monthly minimum payments on time, move on to creating a climate of financial responsibility. Learn to live within your means and look for opportunities to cut your expenses. This begins with evaluating your current earnings and your spending habits. It also may mean making adjustments. You may have to trim spending unless you can immediately increase your income. Use credit wisely. If you are thinking of putting something on a credit card and you cannot pay it off in 3 months, think again. Develop a realistic budget and stick to it. Failure to create a monthly budget is a recipe for getting overwhelmed by debt. It may be eye-opening to track your purchases. Avoid impulse buying. You can easily wreck a budget with just a handful of impulse purchases each month. Need a little help sticking to a shopping list? Leave your credit cards at home. Take only the cash you have available to spend. Tighten your extravagances. Skip the coffee shop. Bring a mug from home. Don't let magazine covers, pop-up ads, or shop windows trigger your fashion impulse. Examine your bills. See if you can cut back on cable, internet, and streaming choices. Review all the riders on your insurance policies. Look for deals on groceries. Wait for sales and use coupons. Consider less expensive stores brands at the grocery store. Take good care of your possessions. Proper maintenance extends the life of the things you rely on and helps you avoid big-dollar repair jobs. Third, choose a credit card payment strategy. Ready to pay off credit card debt? Excellent! First, avoid setting yourself up for failure. Instead, settle on a smart strategy, one that is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Next, place reminders of your ultimate goal in conspicuous places. A picture of the next house, that river cruise through Europe, the kid's dream college. Confronting the larger ambition each time you are tempted to charge can help you stay on schedule. Now, get a strategy or two to achieve your larger SMART goal. Among the most successful methods are paying more than the minimum, the debt snowball, the debt avalanche, and automation. Paying more than the minimum means exactly that. The debt snowball method involves paying off the lowest balance first and keeping it paid off. Then, motivated by your sense of achievement, rolling the amount freed up into the next smallest balance. As your confidence grows, so will the amount you can apply to each successive debt balance until, like a snowball rolling down a hill, you are using larger and larger payments to eliminate your debt. The debt avalanche is dubiously named variation on the debt snowball. Instead of attacking the lowest balance, you target the balance with the highest interest rate. What the debt avalanche lacks in instant gratification, it makes up for by being more cost-effective and paying off credit card debt faster. Automating your payments is a simple way to make certain you stay current on your debts, thus avoiding late fees, penalty interest, and bad reports to the credit monitors. If you're pursuing the snowball or avalanche approach, you will have to be somewhat more alert to the shifting nature of the debts. Also, keep sharp watch on your bank balance. Overdraft fees can be more punishing than late penalties. Fourth, make sure you have an emergency fund. If the response to the COVID-19 pandemic taught us anything, it's that robust economies can turn on a dime. And when that happens, even great, reliable, dependable, productive workers, you, for instance, can find themselves without reliable income in an emergency situation. Maybe when coronavirus hit, you had reserves typical of many Americans next to nothing. That's a hard lesson, but it's also one from which you can gain. Looking ahead, your budget should include room to build an emergency fund, one ideally equal to 6 months of expenses. Take it on with determination, patience, and steadiness, one small direct deposit at a time. This way, if you are ever again unemployed with credit card debt, you won't suffer instant panic. You will have prepared. Fifth, pay more than your minimum payment. The minimum monthly payment listed on your statement is the lowest amount you can pay on your account or remain in good standing with the issuer. Usually calculated as a small percentage of your total credit balance, it's almost like a checking fee to make sure you are still there. The monthly minimum is the least you can pay and avoid late fees and interest penalties, as well as maintain a good repayment history. That's nice, but the interest never sleeps. It's always, always, always accruing on your balance. Right now, as you read these words, up it went. Paying only the minimum will keep you on the hook for the maximum amount of time. Strive to pay any amount more than the monthly minimum. If you can, and if you keep it up, you will lower the long-term cost of your credit card debt. One novel but effective approach to conquer credit card debt one bite at a time. Target specific purchases that appear on your bill. Camping equipment from Dick's Sporting Goods. All your lattes in a month. That gift for your colleague's daughter's wedding shower. Research discovered consumers pay 15% more toward their debt when they scan their statements and choose specific purchases for repayment. Subjects said repayment by purchase reduces the sense that they are up against a limitless sea of debts. Instead, they feel they are making actual progress with each purchase paid off. 6. Consider consolidating your credit card debt. We mentioned the historically low interest rate climate above. One way to take advantage: explore debt consolidation programs. If you can qualify for a low-interest personal loan from a bank, credit union, or credible peer-to-peer source, you will benefit from a single, likely lower overall payment. And with your new responsible spending discipline, you will be out of credit card debt far sooner with much less paid to interest. 7th, work with creditors to lower your interest rate. Does the following describe you? You are well established with your credit card issuers. Your payments are punctual and at least the minimum. You don't breach your credit limit. If all of that is true, you may be able to lower your interest rates simply by asking your credit issuers to cut you a break.